Yes, and a good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and pretty Martinique. Hope everything is going well and okay with each and every one of you. We do apologize for the late start tonight, but you know it is getting in and out sometimes. Yeah? We need some more. It is time for Talking Points. More of your drilling. We need some more. More of your and my name is Sheldon Scott. I'm here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. We need some more. More of that sweet, sweet mood. Long time I've not had such fun. We should be having, well, yes, we will be having a guest on with us tonight. You are the reason the party is tight. So much of passion, filled with attraction. The party is hot and no one wants to stop. Come let me dance, get on, take over the floor. No, no, you can't go. We need some more of your thrilling. We need some more of your dancing. Yes, sometimes it does prove a challenge to move from point A to point B. Huh? Yes, yes. And tonight it just happens to be one of those nights. Give us some more. We need some more. We need some more. We need some more. We need some more. This is what we call our way. you set them free. Keep making the move. You get your partner in the groove. This dance is an act with many drills. That is Carriacou drill.
Yes, indeed. And we're just making sure everything is ready to go. Saying a special good night to all of you joining us via the various mediums. All of you joining us via YouTube, we say a special good night to you. All of you joining us via Facebook, we're saying a special good night. Those of you that may have joined us via 91.9, 91.5, We Noise Radio, we say a special good night to you as well. It's late for us already. We can't go for roll call tonight.
Few musicians have played this music. One man stand out. He was Carriacou. He must be recognized for keeping the culture alive. Now he is dead and gone. His memories must live on. At the shout of command, a flick of the feet and your hands. You move to your partner gracefully. Embrace each other when you set them free. Keep making the move. You get your partner in the groove. This dance is an act with many drills.
As I said, we'll be joined by a guest tonight, Mr. Christopher the Ali Jr.
That is Carriacou drill. Shout of command, a flick of the feet and your hands. You move to your partner gracefully. Embrace each other when you set them free. Keep making the move.
I'm just making sure because I'm hearing about that. Someone is telling me about the volume again. Is the volume low? Well, I'm seeing one person is telling me that. I'm just checking to see if it is a problem again tonight that we're having the volume exceptionally low. One person is telling me that, so I'm just trying to make sure if it is on their end or if it is on my end where that problem is coming from.
You get your partner in the groove. This dance is an act with many drills. That is Carriacou drill.
Let me give them one more Carriacou tune as I get everything all well and ready to go live with our guest. Folks, and I believe we've been joined by our guest. Let's just make a test. The guest, are you there?
I am here.
And you're hearing me clearly?
I'm hearing you clearly.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. I'm just making sure that you're there and you're hearing me clearly. I think one of the radio stations is having a little issue with the audio. I'll work on that separately, but let me just bring you on with us, and yeah, let me just bring you on. It's one of those nights when you know everything that can happen out of the way happens. So it
Some
is one of those nights that has happened. And let me just bring you up with us. Why is this taking place now? Yeah. And let me see here. Yeah, I just bringing you up with us. Beautiful. Nice. So good night to you, sir, Mr. Christopher D. Ali Jr. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very good, Sheldon. How are you?
Well, I am fine, but it's one of those nights that I have to be rushing, and I don't like to be rushing. I usually try to get everything in place long before, so I don't have to be running. But it has been one of those nights that I've had to be rushing from location A to location B. So I brought you up, and we're speaking with you tonight. How has your weekend been? I know today's Tuesday, so how was the weekend?
Weekend was unusually quiet. I think I took this weekend to kind of pour into my own cup, took some rest, went to the gym, took a walk on the beach, read a couple chapters in a book, and I kind of like refreshed the mind and kind of like took a little rest for myself. So it was a very restful weekend.
Yeah, sometimes you have to get that little rest and relaxation and
Yeah.
so and get yourself back to normal and so. And for those who are just joining us and may not know of Mr. Christopher Diali, very very brief. We ain't going deep into the thing. Give us a little bit about yourself. What's your main area and those sort of things like that.
Well, obviously, my my all my ambitions and career path was never to go directly into politics. I always wanted to pursue a career into finance. I was more geared towards investment finance. I studied my bachelor's in the UK, and then I kind of went and did further studies in Canada and do my postgraduate studies in more financial planning and investment planning and that kind of stuff. After working for a couple of years there, the culture and the I guess I it wasn't what I originally thought it was going to be, and I was extremely burnt out. And I wanted to return to some semblance of happiness, and that happiness drew me back to Grenada. I packed up, I moved back, and I started to figure out a path that made my life happy and made sure that I can do things that I was passionate about in my country.
Well, they always say home is where the heart is, eh? And as
Yeah,
as Specky says, no place sweeter than home. So
yeah.
I think the loss of any other country is always to the benefit of Grenada in a situation like this. And we know that you have recently been confirmed as the caretaker of the new National Party in the South St. George constituency. From the point in time that you have been confirmed to now, how has that been going for you?
To be honest, it's been a whirlwind. Um, Obviously, I had to like obviously start from the organizational basis. I had to start to. There was no one who was doing the job as a caretaker on the ground, so a lot of people felt there was no one talking. They had to talk to or knew who they need to direct things to. So there was a lot of reestablishing of those connections, and also for myself personally, it was a bit different. Where now my time had to be dedicated to like walking within the community I normally jog through, but going house to house, putting names and faces to those houses, meet going to areas of my community I never knew before, and starting to meet people and hear their stories and listen to the needs of what I think that is not being addressed. I think a lot of people are open to new ways of thinking and are not tied down to firm natures of where their politics is cemented in any one party. I think a lot of people want what's best for themselves and their family and their country, and are looking to see these type of ideas. So for me personally, it was very refreshing. I I took it. I took a lot of like getting used to like walking everywhere to like meet the different people, going to every shop, and I've been pleasantly surprised by the amazing young people I've met, the aunties, the main men on the block, the chieftains in the community, the old talkers in the rum shop. It's been eye opening, and I've been so honored and to be having the privilege of representing not my party, but also representing youth in politics and to make sure and bring forth betterment for everyone in my constituency.
One of the one of the things that when you came on the scene and you were speaking at the launch of you yourself and your fellow caretakers was you spoke to young professionals and you made a
Mhm,
call to young professionals to get involved in the political process in
mhm.
Grenada. Go into that a bit for us. Tell us a bit about your call to other young professionals. I think a lot of young people tend to hide away from politics because they find, yeah, they're going to call my name, they're going to say this about me, they're going to say that about me. And they focus on the negatives and not the positives about what they can do for their country. Tell us a little bit about that because I realize you made a specific call to young professionals.
Yeah, I really wanted to call young professionals out because I do believe our country has a really young, talented core. We have some truly innovative young people and young women, everybody across the spectrum. We have some really brilliant people here in Grenada and abroad. And I felt that I was in rooms with other young professionals and those individuals we spoke about ideas, what our country should look like, the things that we should do, what they're not doing more of, how disenfranchising it feels. And none of us, including myself, saw a future in politics. Mostly because we felt that it was brought to a level, at the base level, where people felt like going into politics was going into blatant character assassination and being able to handle that with your ego and being able to look yourself and members in the community and constantly validate things is tough. And I think a lot of young people who grew up more in a social media era is a lot more sensitive to that type of optical engagement with the public. And I think that fear factor has limited a serious gap in our political process. One of the famous sayings that is say like only way bad things happen is when good people do nothing. Or evil to persist when good people do nothing. I think not saying that any one side is evil, but I'm just saying that we need to step up. The people who can offer good guidance and good ways of doing business and helping build our country, from technocrats to bureaucrats to the working class to everyone in our country should feel a participatory enthusiasm to help my country grow. And whatever that role may be, I think people should start to think of it not more of the risk of being ridiculed, but the risk of forming the path for our children, our nephews, our nieces. We need to be able to think of it as a sacrificing and making sure that where the baton is a better place for our people in the next generation. We cannot see the problems today and just kick the can down the road. A lot of us need to step up and stand up for our country.
Indeed. And for those of you just joining us, we're speaking with Mr. Christopher De Ali Jr. He's the caretaker of the new National Party for the St. George South seat. And thus far, he's making a few people frightened, but I know it's the kind of fella that he ain't going and attack them. He ain't going and say nothing negative about it. I do want to go call men thief and say all kind of thing about him, but he's who wouldn't do things like that. Mr. Diali, the South St. George constituency, you said you've gone around and all of us, you've gotten the aunties. Yeah, the
Mhm.
aunties and the uncles and the children and everybody is Mr. Diali, Mr. Diali, Mr. Diali. What are some of the issues that you have actually seen within the South? Some of them that might be easily addressable, some of them that you need a sort of strategic plan to deal with. What are some of the issues that you've been seeing in the south of the island as you go around and as you've been going through, whether it's Springs or Mount Edgecombe, whether it's Belmont or Frequente or Calice or Point Saline or the Limes or Guancay or wherever? What are some of the issues that you've been seeing as you've been going around?
I think the one that hit home the most is young men. Engaging with young men in the community all across South St. George is a little different. I I feel like our society has solely abandoned our young men. We see in the US, they have a loneliness epidemic among men. There actually studies coming out saying men need more than two guy nights a week to create that camaraderie and like that understanding and thing. We live in a society due to social media, smartphones, isolation. Technology has isolated a lot of us, and we have broken down simple community things. I was having a conversation with someone in Woburn recently, and they told me something. They say, back then, every probably 2 to 3 nights a week or afternoons a week, when a man have a day off or something or somebody's birthday or something, 2 to 3 nights a days a week, all the guys come together and community, we having a pot, we cooking this, someone bringing this, we bringing that. And they're sitting down by the fireside, cooking, seasoning, talking to each other, encouraging them when they have woman issues, telling them, giving them a business advice of things they learned, laughing and sharing risk stories to be wary of. These are the things that I'm seeing degrading it out of our society, where young men are feeling left behind, isolated, and where that void is happening, you see a lot of conspiratorial theories start to happen, where they're on the internet more than they're living in reality, where more young men feel abandoned but not engaging on how to get better, on how to strive and how to go from point A to Z. Like, how do I not want handouts? I am a man of pride. I want to be able to take out a girl to lunch, and I want to be able to buy a car. I want to be able to provide for my family. I don't want to feel useless. But I feel useless because I drop out at Form 3. I don't have the necessary skills. My home values. I rather be out on the street than at home. Um, these things are prevailing and starting to take root in a lot of the neighborhoods in the society, and that is really worrisome because I'm a young man as well, and I look at these guys as my peers, and it hurts me to the core because we have things like the youth center in the heart of Grenada. And I drive past the youth center quite often on a daily basis. It's almost empty, if not empty most of the time. The basketball court, due to the type of paint they use, is very slick, and any little sweat or little rain or anything, it's a slip and slide, and guys are afraid to play ball there because they're afraid to fall.
Mm-hmm.
We have rooms there, a big voided space that we spend money on that has not been renovated to focus on the youth of today and tomorrow. The reality is that I'm in a society now where my parents used to tell me, don't play too much video games. You would not have a career in that. You go back to your studies and study your schoolwork. Video games is just distraction. Now there's children, 12 and 13, who making millions of dollars a quarter on sponsorships for being streamers on Twitch playing video games. People are creating different types of esports leagues all across Asia. That's one of the fastest growing sports right now. Why are we not having different types of rooms and different types of engagements where we have young men who we have a bus going around the constituency looking for every block, every idle area that we see young men and pick them up, bring them to the youth center. They have a counselor there. They have someone there who will give you mentorship skills, talk to you about how a thing. If you want to blow off some steam and play some ball, play some ball. If you want to go and play some video games and just fun games, here, boys, go that. Try to release that angst and energy among our young men. Try to channel it in positive ways forward. These are the things that we need to start talking about in our society.
And I think one of the things you just mentioned something there that I think a lot of people are missing, in that we need to start telling our young men and our young ladies or people in general what you can and not just what you can't. In
Mm-hmm.
that there are new avenues that are opening up because you mentioned the video games. My eldest son, I know he loves video games and he was into the video games. And I told him once, I said, listen, you're into the video games. I'm not going to discourage you, but become the producer and not the consumer.
Yeah.
Learn to do the coding,
Mm-hmm.
understand how they produce the video games, and become
Mm-hmm.
the person that every time people play the games, you earn money instead of you're
Mm-hmm.
playing the game and other people are earning money off of it. So, opening those new revenue streams, understanding that there are new revenue streams that are open to young people in 2025, that in
Mm-hmm.
2020 or in 2015 or in 2019, whatever, were not open. But now those new revenue streams are open. And being knowledgeable about it, one, but also being able to engage the young people with the messages in relation to those new revenue streams. One of them, for instance, coding. We hear this
Mm-hmm.
administration speaking about coding and getting the young people, although they still ask the young people to pay back the 7,000 something Canadian or 14,000, whatever EC. But that is an avenue that young people, a young person could learn to do the coding, whether they learn Python or one of the other languages, and they're at home and they're able to earn 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 US on a monthly basis. So opening these new revenue streams and stop looking at just the traditional, but opening the new revenue streams for our young people. And I think that's very important.
This Sheldon, the same way we have Waditi knockout tournaments. You know the hacking tournaments and coding tournaments, Schools should be able to, just like there's kids who are gifted in basketball and other things, there are other kids who are gifted in other things. And you should have avenues of competition. And there are companies all around the world who would sponsor this because that's talent they're fostering. And these things are things we need to start bringing into the national conversation. How are we creating models that embolden the youth for the future that is ever changing? And that is not questions we're not asking ourselves enough.
Mhm. Yeah, and you see it happening because even while the government speaks a big game, you don't see the approach to it within the and I would go as far as to say even the pre-primary school level. So from the pre-primary into the primary school level, into the secondary and the tertiary level, you don't
Mhm.
see that specific approach in relation to new technology. It's parents telling children, stay off of Facebook and stay off of YouTube, not understanding that there are some people who just by posting a video to TikTok on a daily basis make more than the Prime Minister of Grenada. That there
Mhm.
are people who with a YouTube channel make more than any regional prime minister because they have developed a product, understanding the technologies that exist, and they have created products to deal with that. Yes, you need the traditional, you need the farmers, you need the fishermen, you need the people who produce the food, you need the workers who are going to work in different industries. But there are new industries that have to be focused on. And meanwhile, while you're understanding that, understanding as well that there are various categories of workers who, if things continued as they are going with artificial intelligence, they're not going to have a job in 5 years. In fact, in some instances, less than 5 years. Data
Mhm.
analysts will not have a job in 5 years.
Mhm.
somebody to take up a piece of paper or a form and look at some information and come up and tell you, okay, this is the direction to go. Because you have things like Chat GPT that do that for you within seconds. And other things, just input the data and within seconds, 5 minutes sometimes, according to the volume, it might take a couple hours, but they do what a data analyst may take an entire month to do. They do it within a couple hours. And it therefore eliminates certain categories of workers. And you have the things like, for instance, the shopping online that is going to eliminate a category of workers that, and you have many of them, that are at work right now in Grenville and in the town of St. George and in the South, especially the South, people who work in the retail sector. Whereas rather than go to town and look for jeans, I may go online, use my credit or debit card and purchase it and have it sent down. Rather than go into town and go and ask the young lady, let me see that one, let me see that one. So there are categories of workers that have to be eliminated, and you have to set your economy in the position that it can deal with and address these new issues.
I completely agree with everything you said. You highlighted the most important thing which is AI. AI in the next 10 years, AI would disrupt so many jobs, but was also one thing that a lot of people are focusing on. When we had Google growing up and we just typed in, but we still had to do the research. We had to click on the article, we had to find that right bit of information in that article. It still was cumbersome research. It still took some level of thinking and analyzing. Right now, ChatGPT and other types of AIs is replacing the cognitive deep thought process in young people. So we're becoming more instant in our gratification process. And what we need to start talking about, that is a problem. What we need to start talking about is a solution. We need to start saying, we need to have critical thinking as early as primary schools and start making children not go think about, just the types of algebra and these kind of things. That wouldn't be necessary for you to solve. It's about creativity, being able to solve problems in actuality, being able to look at a host of different issues and come up with a solution, being able to handle anxiety and pressure in situations and overcoming it. These are the realities young people have to deal with because they're growing up in a world where information is coming at them at lightning speed. A lot of people suffer from social anxiety because of the overthinking, because all that is happening because of technology. We had time to sit back and analyze a text on WhatsApp before we sent a girl so it could be the best well-worded line, but takes away the level of creativity and sometimes the blundering in saying the line that makes you become the better person in saying the line to the next girl or the next situation. We are taking away the mistakes part of our learning process, the falling down and getting back up. That is what humans are known. That is our survival instinct. That is how we become better. And we need to start looking at how we focus to keep young people getting better, given that the world is changing ever so fast around them. Children are growing up with lumbar issues because they have an iPad from since they're a year or two old. They're better with smartphones than their grandparents. They're constantly adapting to new technologies extremely fast. But these things have ramifications. And we have to look at it holistically and start to say, how do we not just accept the change, but help embolden our people to be better Grenadians and better individuals, and therefore emboldened to have a better society.
And you see, it's like for me, so one of the questions, and I embarrassingly say so, that I usually watch my children and say, but you know, these guys can't climb a tree. They don't know. It's moved past the stage of where 20 years ago, 25 years, 30 years ago, a child, if they wanted mangoes, would have to go and climb a tree. You wanted Governor Plum or whatever, you have to go and climb a tree. Tambran, whatever, you have to go and climb a tree. It's gotten past that stage to mommy or daddy buy a bag of mangoes in town. Mommy or daddy buy a bag of French cushion in town, and so on. So that these children don't have the experience. They don't know how to climb a tree. You go in a primary
No,
school
exactly.
right now, you go in a secondary school, very rare. You could find children who actually know how to climb a tree, and then parents seem to have gotten paranoid now. They don't want the children to climb the tree because you're going to fall and break this, you're going to fall and break that. We've been in the primary school system where we know children coming to school with a cast on their hand or a
Mm-hmm.
cast, or they out
Mm-hmm.
for a while because they have a cast on their foot and so. But parents have gotten afraid of that. So that sort of thing, the society has changed in that way. And even before some of us realize it, we know to climb trees and so, but do your children know? Can your child climb a coconut tree? Or they have to wait for the, well, I know one child at a point in time cut down the coconut tree. You know? He said, don't worry,
Mm-hmm.
he go grow back. He cut down the coconut tree to get the coconut. So the
Mm-hmm.
society has shifted. And
Yeah.
as a country, we have to do several things. And from what you've just been saying, I understand one of the main areas that you've been speaking about there is that there must be a significant shift in the educational system to
Mm-hmm.
address the shifts that have taken place and the ones to come. Because what we're seeing with AI now was not a conversation we were having, for instance, in the 2013 election campaign or the 2018 election
Mm-hmm.
campaign. We were not
Mm-hmm.
having a discussion about artificial intelligence, but it is
No.
something that you're hearing now, and there will be something to come after that again. So that
Mm-hmm.
we have to be mindful of what is taking place and start adapting our educational system to deal with that.
is is educational, societal, it's a lot of different levels because think of it this way. We're we're a generation, well, especially my generation and younger, are into voyeurism type of society where we watch others do instead of doing. You ever see sometimes we watch someone stay up on YouTube late at night and watching a man build a mud house in the jungle.
Mhm.
And we sit down for an hour or 45 minutes just watching that and we just get lost in it. Um, there are a lot of children who sit down and watch other children play video games. There's a lot of children who watch other children cook and like just watch them live and not live themselves.
Mhm.
We have to start to like I was blown away when I took a trip to Curacao one time, and that's an island not far from us. And on the Sundays, the city shut down completely, and no traffic in or around the city. And the entire streets were filled with small goal, hopscotch, different types of things. And the parents had different cafes and area where they sit and chill and mix with their friends and have that. But the children were just frolicking, making new friends, socializing, learning. These are things that we need to start thinking about collectively in our society. How we are addressing not just embracing the change that is coming with technology, but holding on to values that are important to our existence and making sure that people feel a level of calm, a level of lack of anxiety due to what's going on in the world, a level of being able to see value in society and helping others and not viewing things from watching on a screen or judgmental or forming opinions based on what we see in a retweet or a forward or some sort of retort of an idea, but forming our own ideas, listening to different individuals, talking to people who probably don't necessarily agree with us, but we may get gems in that conversation that help inform our idea even further. We need to start thinking about the structural and systematic things that keeping us apart as a people and how we overcome that and push forward in a more vigorous manner.
Mhm. And again, it comes back again to the educational system. And the thing
Yeah.
I think a lot of folks have to understand is that the Grenada educational system is tied to various things. One, it's tied to the traditional. So you've got the educational system that was handed over by the British at the end
Mm-hmm.
of colonialism. And then
Mm-hmm.
on a regional level, you have CPEA, you have CXC, etc., that are formatted towards specific goals and objectives. I'll put it that way. And these should have changed over the last few years. You see the number of students that are going into information communication technology. But I believe every child, no, it shouldn't be that it should be selective and elective, but that every child should be involved in communications, technology, ICT. Every child should be involved in that particular area because every child is involved in that area. I believe that when it comes to our children, even at the pre-primary school level, that they should be exposed to technology because we realize that the Asian tiger economies,
Mhm,
that their
mhm.
children, when they're 3 and 4 years old, they already know how to operate certain technologies and equipment. And by the time they're into the primary school and they're finishing the primary school level, they're at, for want of a better terminology, hacker level competence in relation to certain things. So that there has to be that total shift in the education system, and not just at the Grenada level, but at the regional level. We have to look at, again, for want of a better terminology, a revolution in education and a revolution in thinking of how we prepare the generations that already exist and the ones to come to deal with the challenges of the future. Other than that, again, the Caribbean is just going to be a consumer economy as we are right now. A consumer economy. We spending billions as the Caribbean collectively spending billions, North America, Asia, other places, to get items and so on, and we are not the producers. Even when it comes to relaxing, again, you just mentioned the children that are looking at the videos and so on. I mean, the one with looking at others play video game used to annoy me with my son. That one used to annoy me. I ain't lying to tell you, brother. That one used to annoy me. Until I understood, well, wait, why does he have to be the one watching and he can't be the one doing it? And then I explained that to him. I said, you like watching those things. Why can't you go and learn to play the video game and you be the one that is doing the streaming and so on and making money off of it? But we have to make that shift from being the consumers to being the
Yeah.
people who are producing. And if that mindset, and it's particularly in South St. George, there's a great opportunity there. We know they're going to try to take away ideas, but it's the benefit of Grenada. They hear it first on talking points on the 20th of May 2025. They're hearing about we bring this one and we do that and we bring that one and we do that. They're hearing of what can be done. That those
Mhm.
young people in South St. George, there is an opportunity now for them to choose someone who understands what is happening now and what is to come, and to work along with that individual to make a reality of what can be their future. And not focusing on the past, but a reality of what can be their future. And that's a wonderful thing.
To be honest, South constituency is one of the most unique constituencies in the island. And that is one because it's not just it is, when someone says South is the economic engine, it is a really understated statement because it pulls Grenadians from all around the island to live and work within that constituency. Not a lot of people who from the South grew up in the South. Most of the people who live in the South sometimes go back to St. David's, St. Andrews, St. John's on the weekends, but they live and work in the South because that's where the economic opportunities are. When people who are in the South, these people are very economically motivated. They want the type of representation that helps equals cents and dollars. They want to be able to understand that how they are sacrificing already to make sure they're trying to build for their families. Some of them are engaged in 2 and 3 hustles. Some of these people are the hotels and the workers in the hotels, the workers in the call centers, the workers who are on commissions, the workers in the bars, there's so many employees who live and thrive off the South economic engine. And when you're dealing with the South, it's not just, I agree, the South needed a lot of work. We need better housing. We do need to make sure the place is beautiful and is maintained and bushes cut and drains are cleaned. I think those are necessary things, but that is the bare minimum for someone in government. We also need leadership. We also need to see the South for not what it is, but what it could be. Because what we also lacking is that we're in the tourism belt. This is where everybody, not the tourism belt, but the educational belt, where we have thousands of American students who are living and stay over visitors at months at a time, eating in restaurants, shopping in supermarkets, using the services in the area. We have to look at our neighborhood holistically. Are we building a community that is not for the now, but for the tomorrow? Are we in making sure we had two road fatalities? Are we starting to think about urban development so that there's enough sidewalks and lit areas that everybody feels safe? Are we making plans to make sure that when we urban develop the South, we're urban developing with intention, that we know that people can segment from the industrial area to the tourism area, to the restaurant district, to the entertainment district? Are we creating a product, a snapshot of our country that says we are not here to just say, oh, this is a little snapshot of how we were in the colonial times? No. We need to be forward thinking. We need to embrace the type of change what makes when we our friends and the Grenadians who leave our shows and come back after 10, 15 years be blown away that the Grenadians are here working and toiling away with their tax dollars and their efforts, or trying to build a country that rivals any type of economy in the European continent or even the Asian continent. We need to make sure that our economy is dynamic, not just built on tourism, but built on the services that thrive off tourism, making sure that our products and our services reflect our people, that it embraces clean, international standards, that our areas when you drive past looks beautiful, looks like it has flowers, making sure that you can, when you go around the area, I don't want to see flowers, pretty flowers. I want to see mango trees. I want to see different things. Yes, I'm drinking and I might take all of it and go and try to sell, but that's fine.
At least they're surviving, isn't it?
Yeah, but let have these things available. Make it space feel like the Caribbean. So when someone leaves their hotel and takes a jog or walk around the area, they'll be enchanted by not just the beauty of the country, but by its people, because the pride we have in our country, to keep it clean, to make sure that we building for our children, for our daughters to feel safe in every part of the country, where she can walk from any point in Grenada to the next point and not feel that she would ever have to worry about anything. This is the type of society we need to talk about. I take jogs all around the constituency all the time, normally through Lansepine down to the airport, sometimes around to Montrouge and up to Silver Sands. And in those routes, there's not consistent sidewalks at all. And not that we don't know, people have been jogging these routes for decades. Why are we not creating safety areas for people to enjoy their community just like everyone else? These are the bare minimum for our leaders. We need to have leaders that ensure that our society is fully represented, but also it is pushing the borders of what was happening. All what is being happened is something that we have all done as a party. We have built roads, we have built houses, we have done all these, we call the building government, the concrete government. The party has been known for that. But yet when other people do it, it makes it seem like it's brand new. What we want really is some brand new ideas, and not rebranded ideas. We want things that are fit our society of today and for tomorrow and for the next 10 and the next 30. We want to make sure the legacy that our grandchildren can build on is something of pride, something that says that we have not developed our country since the colonial era. Name one time we had proper urban development like any top country in this world, passing our colonial time. You could do drone shots over the town and you can see the grids and the ingenuity and the thought behind the creation of the St. George's Town. But Grenada is a new mecca of Grenada of the future. And are we seriously as a nation looking at that as our own way of representing what the Grenada of the future would be? Creating a city and an area that embraces that dynamicism in our people and our ideas and where we see ourselves for the future. The South is a white blanket, white sheet of paper where we can truly take advantage and design a community and ecosystem that says who we are as a people and where we are going.
Mhm. Indeed. And for those of you just joining us, I'm speaking with Mr. Christopher D. Ali Jr., and he is the new National Party caretaker for the South St. George constituency. We're speaking about various issues that affect the constituency, not just the constituency, because if you understand the dynamics of South St. George, you also understand that whatever affects South St. George affects the entire island. You'd recognize that, for instance, if you go into Montu right now, good night, Mammy George, that if you go into South St. George right now, that there, and particularly in areas like Montu or Grandans Valley or the Limes, and so, good night, ma'am, and the Limes and so on, that there are many folks who, they're from St. Patrick. They're not originally from South St. George, and you mentioned that earlier. They're not really originally from South St. George, but due to the fact that they've got a job in the tourism industry, due to the fact that they've got a job in the manufacturing industry or so on, they have relocated from whether it's St. Andrew to South St. George. Even if they do so during the week, and on the weekend they go back up and they come back down on a Monday, they do that. But these are individuals from St. Patrick and St. Mark and even Carriacou that find themselves now living in South St. George. So the dynamic of South St. George is not the same as to say St. John. It's not the same to say as, for instance, let's say St. David. It's a totally different dynamic when you're speaking of South St. George.
Mhm. I think what we have to see the South as is not just our economic engine, but the blueprint of where we can go as a country and a people. We see, like, in my short time in politics, I've done some research, and that electorate has grown an immense amount in a short space of time. The South is growing at an exponential rate. And we need to talk about the things that matter in that growth, which is housing and creating a situation where everything is moving more efficiently. In the South, traffic is a big problem. If we start to calculate how much hours a day we spend in traffic, and then add that up in a year, we're probably losing a couple days a year in traffic in Grenada out of a time where we could be spent using more efficiently. And I'm not hating on anyone who may not, have the housing facility to house their car, so they need to put it on the side of the road. I understand that. But we also need to talk as a government, as a people, that we need to create areas where, buy some areas of land or somewhere where that you can have community parking to take vehicles off the road. 3, 4 story areas of community parking, so that calculate how much areas and vehicles and see how much where that would go over time and how much we may need. We need to think about how we make the roads more efficient. We need to figure out how to make the present infrastructure work for the development we're having, because we've seen the development outpacing what we're building. So we need to start thinking proactively of what strides are we making to make sure that we have a kind of structure in a society that is easily manageable. We need to create if we need to have a situation like the UK, where there's certain times of the day vehicles could park on the side of the road at the evening and late hours. But in the earlier times of the day and daytime hours, you need to be off the road, or you'll get a ticket, or you'll be towed. You need to have some sort of structure where we can say that one vehicle does not hold up 2 hours of traffic because it parked terribly on the side of the road. These are things we need better management for, because this is a mecca of the country. And we need to start to figure, if we're not creating standards and operating procedures to make sure that we are better, more efficient running of people, then everything would fall away. We need to start creating these kind of structures in our community from now. And it may look small with just people parking on the side of the road and creating traffic congestion, but it's deeper. It is how our communities, which were not intended to have space for parking, is now growing so much, and the economic growth of these people are buying assets, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is part of the growth process. But these assets now have to find a home and a functional way for these people to feel that their tax dollars are working for them. So we needed to have these open dialogues of how we make the South better, how we make sure everybody in the community feels heard, how we make sure that our tourism product, our community is showcased so that when people like, I would love to see that some big Hollywood movie or James Bond film will be filmed in the South one day because it is just as nice as any part in San Tropez or the Riviera or whatever. I want to know that we have that kind of pride where we're setting our country up to win for the future. And that starts from the little nitty gritty things of community development, urban planning, communication with our people, taking care of our youths, taking care of our elderly, making sure people in our society have a level of pride, and also making sure that they feel that their country, they're represented by their countrymen and they are heard and seen. That is important.
And I think you mentioned one of the issues there, for instance, the traffic that's heading into and out of the South. And especially, I remember one particular Christmas Eve because I live in the South. And one particular Christmas Eve, it took me an hour plus, and that was to get from Sugar Mill just to get to around by Food Fair in Grenada. And it took and that was Christmas Eve. The traffic was locked up. I think there was an accident with one vehicle and the traffic was totally locked up. And even around the carnival time, there's certain times that you just realize, hey, it doesn't even make sense trying to leave, even if you're passing through the valley. It doesn't make sense. Just if you can avoid having to go towards town, avoid it when it comes to the South. And then particular times a day, you know when you have the high volume of traffic, when people are heading into work or heading out from work and during lunchtime. And so you have significant travel issues. And it also means that, and I mentioned this during a program last week, that we have to look at the alternative means as well. One of the things that some of the larger countries have done is that instead of encouraging each and every citizen to own their own vehicle, they have put in place the public transportation system. And in the case of Grenada, we may have to return to that model, and in particular, utilizing the ocean instead of utilizing the roadway itself. A shuttle system of vessels between Grandans and the town of St. George, where instead of having to take the buses or having to take your vehicle and drive down, you can shuttle down to the south. You get a taxi, you get a bus in the south to go wherever you're going, down to the airport or whatever you're going, wherever. But that you shuttle down there, you get your transport to shuttle to wherever, and you don't have to clog up the road with additional vehicles. And so, and looking at these alternative measures, we have a helicopter service, but I'm not too sure how much could afford that one between Tom and Grandad's. But definitely, for using the ocean as an alternative route. I mean, you can't clog up the ocean so much that you could say that you can't get down, hurry, and get back in quickly. But definitely, we have an issue when it comes to roads and getting into and out of the south. It's definitely
it is a growing problem and an issue we need to talk about because the South is different. Where that a lot of things in the South is not like nearby. You know that. If you're in the South, you understand if you want to go to the supermarket, it might be a walk. So someone will drive and they'll go from two supermarkets that when they shop, they might go Food Fair, they might go Real Value. And then, whatever little errands here and there. There's a lot of moving around. It's not a lot of distance, but it's small moving. If we need to start talking about certain models you see in countries where there are like solar, like just how you had a trailer truck that's go around doing the tourists. They have solar ones just going around on the main road, picking up people for short distances all around the community. Like if you're in Belmont and you just want to go down to the mall to do some groceries and come back, that should be something we don't have to take up public transportation. It should be something it's seen it, you pass in, you put up your hand, stop, and these things lower the use for people to buy a private vehicle because they say, why do I need it? Why do I pay insurance and maintenance and gas? When I live in Valley, I could just jump on a tram, one of the electric trams here, and just, I'll be around the area, get my groceries, pass by the bakery, Yeah, I know. I just had to go on the route, and that would free up a lot of people from not just wanting to purchase a vehicle, but leaving their vehicle at home. So that would lower the amount of carbon we release in standing up in because when we park up in traffic, nobody parking up in traffic with a glass down, eh? Everybody burning AC, we burning more gas, that's more fuel, that's more, it's not good for the environment. So we need to start thinking about when we see a tourist walking on the sidewalk. You don't want that person all you doing is smelling diesel and thing and drink from the truck that's stand up in traffic for the last hour and a half. We need to start to find ways to unclog that road and make it more efficient for people to move around. And new ideas is welcomed. I think I'm one who's, I think that every problem has a solution and nothing has, we're not seeing things that pulling things from pie out of the sky. These are things of tested models from other countries. Just had to be adapted to Grenada. We need to start thinking of ways to make it more comfortable for Grenadians to move around the community. Why do I have to, if I'm living in the valley, have to like take a good walk, 15, 20-minute walk to just get close enough to where I can get a bus? And that is tough for someone who is older and have knee problems because they may have to trek down the hill or climb up somewhere and then have to make a good walk to get to somewhere where there's a bus. There should be services where small trams or these kind of open air trams can just pass along these routes, pick people up. You're not going out of Grandans. You just 10 trams just going in constant routes, making sure people have a way of moving around that is easy on them. And that may encourage economic activity. Because if I had to walk with one bag of grocery, because I know I have a good way to walk, I take in so much I could handle that bag. But if I know I could take 4 or 5 bags and put it on a tram and go home comfortably and just have a little walk, it'll be easy on me and my body. So I think all of these things need to be concerned, and it takes away a lot from people's independence too, because you may not have the economic independence to own up your personal vehicle, but you shouldn't be disenfranchised to not feel that because you don't have that, everything else is a no because it's inconvenient or these kind of things. We need to create a level of society where or people are made to feel a level of dignity and make sure that they can operate in a society with pride and ensure that these technologies are used to make sure the lives of our people are better.
Mhm. And they also provide alternative employment for different categories of people again, because you need
Mm-hmm.
people to drive, you need people to
Yes.
maintain, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It creates alternative. I know that under the new National Party, there was the approval of a bus route, I believe, that passes through Woodlands, through Grandans Valley. But again, you have the bus route that was approved, but how many of the private buses now are going to go and take it up? And
Yep.
you haven't heard of them taking it up. And the
Mm-hmm.
situation, therefore, is that government would have to step in and place the transportation on that particular line. Because, as you mentioned, I've seen it, and both of us would see it because we pass through that area. You see people walking, you have to stop and give somebody a
Mm-hmm.
ride because you see the
Mm-hmm.
sometimes rain about to fall and you're going
Mm-hmm.
into Granans Valley, or you're coming out and you realize, wait, this person going to get soaked and you have to give them a ride to get in or out of Grandlands Valley and so on. And it is an issue, and it is
Mm-hmm.
a serious issue. And you also realize that there are businesses that have started to develop in Grandlands Valley, and the workers
Mm-hmm.
have to get to the business and out
Yes.
at the end of the day. So it is
Yes.
important to get that aspect of things undercover. Very important.
As
Go ahead.
I want to stick on that transportation thing. One thing, people, I believe there's a role of private sector. I'm very much believe in a role of private sector, but in to balance things out, so that society needs are properly addressed, you do need a stakeholder relationship of government to step in. And one thing you have to say, economic activity is also linked to mobility. When someone finishes work late at night, or they have to, or they get offered a shift to do a double shift, the first thought they would have is, how am I getting home? If that business don't have a company bus or company transport to drop them home, they have to find a way home. If they don't have a boyfriend or a good friend to pick them up, someone to a taxi friend or something. It is costly, but sometimes ineffective, where we can't claim to be the economic engine and not supporting the engine. There is so much people across our island that is underserved. Young men who work in their job and they want to take their girlfriend out, but there's no constant 24-hour bus route nowhere in our island. We are disenfranchising the youthful population because we are basically saying that if you do not have the funds to have a transport, you cannot take part in this in the society. You can't go out and rely on getting a ride back home. When you're done, you have to like scramble to get a ride back home. There should be transportation is linked to economic activity. In the UK, when I was studying there, there used to be a night bus on every route, 24 hours. Some routes, not every route, sorry, on the main routes to the main population center, the main routes, not the off routes, but the main routes. We have to think about having 10 to 20 coaster-sized buses that are electric, that are state-owned, that run these routes for during the day because of the private buses, allow it only to be elderly and children riding on those buses. And in the nighttime, it's open for general public, because it'll free up so much of our people. The anxiety of fear of if I want to go to Junction tonight, I have to hope that I have my friend to get my ride home. If not, I'm screwed. I ain't going nowhere. And most people they say, I ain't going nowhere. I have no right to go nowhere. I'll stay home. That is killing our economic activity. There are bars who would love to get at business, but they need people to be transported there. We had a famous soca song saying "Granas, Granas," but that is literally what is an expression of the youth saying that's where the activity is. But that is where they want to go when they want to have fun. But how are we ensuring that these young people and individuals in our society can get there safely, comfortably, and can be consistent where they can rely on these things? There's technology now. You could have it constant on an app where you could track where the bus is on the route so you could know when to come out. These are state-owned buses. You should have that kind of technology where we have people being able to time when the bus come in so they can just wait by the road. These are things that we shouldn't be just be at the behest of the private. We need to balance out the sector to make sure all Grenadians are served. And this is important as we develop strategies and ways forward to really make our country move in a brighter economic direction.
Mhm. And there's so many issues when you're speaking about the South because you have the largest number of electors located in the south of the island. While St.
Mhm.
David may be a close second, the largest number of electors are in South St. George, while St. David is the largest constituency by size and second in number. And you have so many issues, and it's varied because if you're looking, for instance, you mentioned Belmont earlier, and Belmont is an area that you recognize needs some serious attention because
Oh yeah.
in the late 1990s, Belmont was one of the bustling areas in the south. It was an area that you had businesses operating, you had buses passing. In fact, if you're going to Grandance, the buses did not pass on Lagoon Road, they passed through Belmont. That's the route that they would pass by, which is why there was a traffic light at the area where they had Francis Pet Supply, that area where you could head up
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
Springs or you could go through Belmont. The reason the traffic light was there because the volume of traffic that was going through that area. And
Mhm.
you've seen that over the years, Belmont, in its volume of people passing through, has significantly declined. So right now, you can't find a bus passing through Belmont. You have to find a track and get down to Lagoon Road or get up to Springs or wherever. You will not find a bus passing through Belmont.
Mhm.
Where
Mhm.
Belmont. So you have to find ways and mechanisms of servicing the literally hundreds of people that are living in Belmont and need to, those who living in Jan and Glay or by the laundry there and you're going up, all of these people that need transportation as well. But when they're going somewhere, they have to take their umbrella, hope rain don't fall, get out from Jan and Glay, walk through Belmont, pass through a track, go down to Lagoon Road to catch a
Mhm.
bus. And then when they finish
Mm-hmm.
the reverse, whether they're feeling good, they're feeling bad, because there's no bus service passing through that
Yeah.
area. So you have
Yeah.
areas like Belmont where you have those issues, and then you go
Mm-hmm.
to areas like Guankai with the
Mm-hmm.
provision of basic services that the people of Guankai, water, light, etc., proper road and drainage and so on, those sort of issues. So it's such a varied constituency. Whereas you might look at Lansapine and you recognize that not because Lansapine is seen as one of the more affluential areas, but there are issues in Lansapine that have to be addressed as well. The same with True Blue. These are areas that the St. George University, a lot of the students are staying in these areas, a lot of the faculty are staying in those areas, and there are issues that have to be addressed in those areas. So
Mm-hmm.
the South is such a varied area. You have the issues of Montu, and you mentioned one
Mm-hmm.
of the main issues with Montu. If there's a traffic block up between Sugar Mill and Wall Street, if there's a lot of traffic, the people tend to try to go through Montu. And if you don't know Montu, don't try to go through Montu because there are vehicles parked at the
Yeah.
side of the road. If you don't know the
Yeah.
little back road to pass somebody playing, don't even attempt it because then you
Mm-hmm.
have a traffic jam developing there as well. So
Mm-hmm.
many issues when it comes to the south of the island. So many issues and so many varied issues. One of the things I want to ask you about is the issue of tourism.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the south has always been considered one of the main areas. In fact, the best, I'm not saying one of the best, I've been bold here. The best beach in the world is in
Mm-hmm.
the south of the island, Grandans Beach. You have that powder white sand, you have that lovely scenery and so on. You also have BBC Beach, which I think a lot of us don't speak about much, but it's also another very, just in my view, just as beautiful as Grandans Beach, various beaches and so on. You have all of the entertainment spots. You could, Grenada is one of the places in the Caribbean you could go and bowl. You could go to Lavo Lane, and from Lavo Lane you could go down by Options and get something to eat. You can pass by the brewery in Lansapine, where you can have some beer that is made there from watermelon or mango or ginger and all different things. You can go down there and you can get it. So there's so many options, and no matter what type of food, whether it's Asian food or African food or in whatever food it is, it's available in the South. It's so varied. Your views on tourism in the South, because some are saying now that the carrying capacity of the Granans Beach has, they've passed the carrying capacity of the Granans Beach and so on and different things. Your views on tourism in the south of the island and the opportunities that may exist with it and different aspects of it that probably we're not looking at yet.
Sheldon, we barely scratch the surface of what the South is capable of in terms of tourism. We have not been operating with any strategic direction that really says we have embraced a South that imitates our competitors like Barbados. You know what I mean? We have not made that next leap. I agree with all what you said. The South is a cross section of what Grenada is becoming. We're becoming a cosmopolitan, unique island of varied mixed ethnicities and people. And the South is representation of how that is happening right in front of us. Yes, there's a cross section of wealth, there's a cross section of the working class, and there's a part of the retiree class. There's the yachty class, the people who come here on vacation, and the people who are here for the next 60 months or 2 years, depending on their studies. The people who are here for a 2 week Airbnb, and some people who are here just for a 2 week sailing trip. Their South is full of varied people and different types of needs. It doesn't mean that it's because of all that it is a tough thing in tourism. We just need to start to like operate within a direction. One, I would like to say we need to start to get serious about our tourism product in terms of food.
Mhm.
I cannot at this day and age like say I am having a friend come back from the States or from the UK or wherever, and I'm taking them out and I'm bringing them to the brewery, I bring them here, and when we have a few drinks and we want to get something to eat after, it's only fries and a burger. Does not represent the Caribbean island I knew and grew up and love.
And then most of the
Where is
kitchens close
our
by 10 o'clock as well in most of these places. 10 o'clock. Most of the kitchens close. So you had to hit Wall Street. You had to go down Wall
yeah?
Street or you had to go by Rebel. You had to hit over by Rebel.
Big up my boy Rebel. Like nah. It is sad because think of it like when I watch a man who's been selling corn for years in a spot, right? And I when he was speaking the other day, and I told him I was like, and you sell corn basically like roast corn all the time. No, the amount of people as you students who walk past you, right? And the amount of faculty who probably live within the area and they take that corner and they're on the way going to work. Why haven't you upgraded your product to suit the market that you're in right now? Why? Oh, you can go on YouTube right now. I just pull up my phone and I show my YouTube video of Mexican street corn. I say it's the same corn, my brother. I was like, they have a boiled one, they have a roast one. The roast one, you could put a little cilantro salt, a little cayenne salt. They throw a little honey this on it. They throw some cilantro. You nice it up. You give it a little flair, a little color, and you're charging double the price, and people buying it 10 times faster than the basic roast corn in the corn sheath. I understand the simplicity and the ode to an era where our grandparents grew up on that. But we also have to realize that the market we're in is different than before. So our tourism product has to upgrade with the time. These are things we have here. We have the cilantro, we have all these things. We can create our own version of these things. Have a corn that is soaked in coconut milk and salt meat, and take it out and nice it up with some parmesan and present it to a student who paid double the money because it
Value
shows
added.
effort, value added. We need to not just talk about like I love to see the ingenuity in my people when they quickly start a business here, a barbecue stand here. But isn't like first of all, the South is dynamic. We have a dynamic tourism center. Woburn is one of our most dynamic fishing villages in the South. Why haven't we even started the conversation of creating a Fish Friday in Woburn? I know they have conversations back then, but why are we not having conversations now?
Don't thief the idea now that you talk about it. Don't thief and try to do it. But we say it here first. So
Yeah. Why are they not telling the woman community, the fishermen who picking up the lamby and this lionfish and this and that, say, boys, I'm linking all up with a business in the South, Carib Sushi, and I'm linking up with a couple hotel chefs who are executive chefs, and we want to create a menu that is palatable to the international audiences with local flair. We want no styrofoam a box. We want fig leaf, we want calabash. We want to, even if we reuse it, make some wooden slabs and put Grenada on it and serve it to people as trays.
Mhm.
Show that you're not just doing basic. Because we want when students come, students take photos, they share it, and our impact now increases by millions. That when people see our thing on social media, they're intrigued, they book a flight to visit their girlfriend in SU because all she do is she's selling some amazing food and places here in the South, and he just want to come and visit. That is more tourism dollars there. He's not going to stay for the first weekend or 3-4 days, but trust me, he coming back and he visiting again because he want to hike, he want to fish. There'll be more activities. We need to start thinking about how we lure in our audiences and keep our audiences. And the tourists of today is optical. They are posting on social media as part of their vacation release to show off to their friends and families who back home in the cold. They want to be able to identify that they spend some money, but they enjoy themselves, they fill their belly, and they're intrigued by the types of flavors and cuisine they have. But they also want these things to be a level of acknowledgement to what they know. A lot of Americans eat sushi. We have the best grade of ahi tuna in the world. I think it's one of the best. And when you see techniques now where people are taking fish to a new level, where they're drying fish, aging fish 2 days and stuff, then making ceviche and different things with avocado. And there's so much things we can create that would add value to our people, because these things is good for the community, it's good for the tourism, it's good for the people who are stakeholders who are living in the community, the ones who want to venture out and take their wife and their kids out and have some good local food, but it's palatable to be compared to a gourmet restaurant in Spice Island Beach Resort or Calabash or anywhere, but it's locally priced because the men double and triple in their income by going straight from the farm of the ocean to the table of the patron, going direct to customer. These are the type of things we need to do to invigorate the economy. We need to make sure that our communities feel that they don't have to ask for a handout. They have economic activity within the communities. I live in Fort Judy. I drive through California, and I saw by a lady almost every time I can get a chance to eat some barbecue chicken and some garlic bread. But I love her chicken, but you know what I really love is the garlic bread, because that bread is she gets it from a special bakery, a home bakery in the area, and when she put some garlic bread and put that on the grill, man, that thing is amazing. And I told her, I was like, on the way home, I'm passing 4 and 5 barbecue places selling fish and chips, be almost identical menu. Why don't I see one stall who just doing seafood alone in 10 different ways? Why am I not seeing that? Why am I just seeing the just what is easy, but what is not geared towards our market? It'd be harder to sell a dry fried fish to a customer who have never eaten a good snapper like that, compared to if you do it in a different type of form, in a way that not just allows us to present it on the plate, but where the restaurant is viewership for the audience, where people can come to the restaurant and see the man cleaning the fish, taking the octopus out of the water, clean it up, flip it, and throw it on the grills, and then they want vivid experience, and we need to allow our local entrepreneurial base within the South match that with the tourism needs of the present and the future. So I think we're barely scratching the surface. I don't want to obviously give so much ideas of what I have envisioned for the South, but
Yeah,
what I'm saying is that
wholesome.
yeah, we have great plans that we're just touching the surface of. Tourism is our business in the South. I mean, there's no other. Some communities can say we're the farming community and we're the bread basket and we have this and we're the
Fishing and like Woburn with fishing
yeah.
and so yeah.
The South is action packed constituency of tourism, nightlife, and vibes, and we need to embrace that and make that our identity and that image and push that forward internationally, locally, everywhere. And make sure that when people come to, and take a vacation in the South, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there's things to do in the South. Because if you do not create that type of atmosphere, when a tourist can't even say, well, what to do tonight? I don't know now. Maybe there's have a little karaoke here. It's killing the vibes. We need to have a consistent, guided, and focused strategy that is geared towards the tourists are coming in, younger, they're not old and elderly as the past. There's a lot of new youthful generation with access to capital, and they come in to spend, and they come in to live good. Some of them first time to leave the country in a while, and they want to see what is life like in the Caribbean. And we need to showcase that we live the best, most fruitful life here. And we're permanent vacationers, and they just get to get a piece of that ever so often. And we get to indulge in this beauty that we have on the island all the time to the rest of our lives. That is something that we need to take constant and immense pride in as we guide the way forward for the South.
And as you speak about these various possibilities, it also means that the carrying capacity of the South has to be looked at, because when you create more of these job opportunities, you're going to have more people seeking to come into the south of the island to live and so. And it goes back to your earlier point of housing being a very important issue for the people of the South. Not looking at it in a haphazard kind of way, as in we're going to build a house with swimming pool, front yard, and backyard for everybody, but understanding that government itself has limited land available in the south of the island and in specific locations. And if you are going to build, you have to look at the way that you build to be able to accommodate the most number of people in the smallest area, but also to provide enough amenities for these individuals. If you have more people in the south, there should be no reason that an ambulance has to come into the south to pick up somebody to bring them out of the south to go and receive emergency treatment, especially with the traffic situation. That at least we must have that medical facility in the south of the island because of the volume of people. And if you do any studies, they will tell you when you have a certain volume of people, you must have a particular type of medical facility available for them. And that you have that within the south of the island, that if there's an accident or so on, at least the stabilization of an individual before they are transferred to the main health facility can take place in the south. That ambulances should be based in the south. You shouldn't have a situation ambulance have to leave town to come down in the south to collect somebody to go back in town. That has to be ended. There must be ambulances based in the south of the island. So there are various amenities that come along with the development.
I completely agree with you because I've heard that in the community, walking around talking to people in the community, that is a major concern of them, health, but also that people are dying waiting for help. There's not one, there's traffic. We know Grenada is tough to get through, but we need to have a localized option. They're talking about just registered voters, and registered voters is about 12,000. And the South have a lot more people than that 12,000 that is represented. We probably have a next 5 or 6, who are not registered in the constituency. So you're telling me you have that much people centered in a small geography, and we don't have multiple ways to access healthcare. There's clinics around, but they need to have a centered location where there's 2 and 3 ambulances, as you say, a polyclinic where they can be treated and stabilized before they go to the general hospital. You need to have that, and a situation where it's centered in a location where it can best serve all of the society is important and something that should be kept on the docket as the highest priority, because health is something we don't think about until it's in our face or too late, especially in our society. It's sad. I wish we were more proactive. Me, myself, I have my own faults, and I'm trying to be more diligent in keeping my health more accountable, even though things may get busier. I still try to take a jog, leave my home early morning and take a jog in Calavini and mentally let the stress out. But we need to start to think about how we make the society of the South better and healthier, and how we make sure that the citizens and the electorate of the South have access to safe healthcare, where if they pick up a phone, there'll be someone who would answer 24/7. There will be someone who will be able to guide them to the process, an ambulance to pick them up, an ambulance to help stabilize them. If not, rush them to the general hospital. But the South, for a big community like this, having such poor facilities that address the concerns of the people, it's appalling. And it's something I've been thinking about quite a lot. It's one of my idea factories of trying to solve that issue in a more comprehensive manner. But I, as a candidate, would make sure that these are the things that are on the top of my agenda, to making sure that the people of the South feel that they can call an ambulance, or someone get hit on the side of the road, and when they made a call, the one place will tell them they have no ambulance available. Next one call, let's say, who paying for the ambulance? I mean, these are things that Grenadians have to deal with, and it is sad. And we need to start thinking about how do we restore our dignity when talking about healthcare, the basic necessity. And to be honest, healthcare is not cheap. Healthcare is not cheap. Professionals spend I've dated a few doctors. I could tell you that they spend a lot of their time studying and working, and they spend 8 years of their lives dedicated. I understand they want to make their money. They have a lot of student loans. They need to, and healthcare is not cheap. So we need to figure out how do we make a national health insurance that makes sure that they have that money in the system to make sure to service that kind of work. Because we can't just say we're going to build it. We have to also know how to fund it and maintain it and grow it. So these are conversations we need to have deep and comprehensive talks about, and we can never get fully talk about and get it over right now. But I would say that that is an important point when it comes to healthcare in the community. We can't claim to be the economic engine and the powerhouse of the country and don't have a strong polyclinic that services, and not just polyclinic, but not just a building, but the equipment and the people and the services that goes with that. Because anyone could build a building. It is also making sure that building is well functional to the needs of the people.
That people
And
could
that
get
is
a
a
quick
conversation.
that people could have a quick ultrasound or an X-ray done, rather than having
Exactly.
to rush them up to town, and you can't have that done. But they could have a quick ultrasound, a quick X-ray
Yeah.
done. That you could have
Yeah.
basic surgeries being done, and those sort of things, and that it is properly staffed. Not that you again, not
Mm-hmm.
that you have the facility and you have the equipment and then you don't have the staff, so that you have all
Mm-hmm.
of these things in place for the people of the South. Mr. Diallo, we're quickly running out of time. I wanted to get a specific question into you. And you're smiling
Yeah.
like you know the question I'm coming with. And it's a bit off of what we've been speaking about thus far. There's a perception amongst a lot of people that South St. George is a seat that NNP going to have a lot of problems with, or NNP can't win that seat and that sort of thing. There's that perception by a lot of people out there. In my view, they are very wrong in their perception. I have seen larger margins defeated by the following election, but there's this perception. You're the one leading the charge on behalf of the new national party. Without going into details, your perception of the race ahead, without going into details.
I would leave you with this quote. It was something one of my favorite basketball players, Kobe Bryant, always used to say. And I would leave you, that would be my answer to that question. The quote was from, I think, a Japanese philosopher. He said, if you see me fighting a bear, pray for the bear. I am never a man filled with fear.
I know someone else that made a similar statement. The late Basdeo Pandey of Trinidad
Yeah.
also made a similar statement, because there's this perception among some of them like, no, there's no beating the MP in the South and that sort of thing. I see bigger cock crow and he still end up in a pot on a Sunday. So
Mm-hmm.
it is not a situation that the work is undoable. I believe that
Mm-hmm.
you have the ability, you have the wherewithal, and you have the strategy that will enable you to be able to carry out the job that needs to be done in the south of the island. And
Mm-hmm.
again, the south, and I think this is one thing that we may not have mentioned, the south is the gateway to Grenada. You're coming
Mm-hmm.
into Grenada, unless you're talking about a cruise ship passenger coming at the cruise port, the south is the gateway to Grenada. It's where the people fly in, and you're coming into Grenada, you're entering or you're leaving Grenada. And
Mm-hmm.
again, it has to be treated as such, and
Mm-hmm.
not where you have people that are just talking about different things and they're talking about this and the social media hype, when in reality there are issues that are affecting people on a daily basis that are not being addressed. And I was
Mm-hmm.
listening to one of the calling programs this morning, and I realized two or three of the callers, they were speaking about the fact that they're living in the South, and while they're hearing about things for other people in different constituencies, they
Mm-hmm.
themselves are not feeling the effect of the so-called great work that individuals are doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that things have to be taking place, actual things have to be taking place in the South. One final question as we get ready to wrap up though. A young person like yourself, you've decided to become involved in politics. Why the new national party?
The new national party embodied my values as a man, and as a Grenadian, and what I think the Grenadian people need for a safe future. Um, it's rooted in the policies and practices and ethos that I think it's geared towards uplifting people. It's about progress. It's about pushing boundaries. It's about building for not now, but for the future. Um, but when I look at the New National Party, personally, I'll have to like say shout out to the chairman, Dr. Pete Mitchell. He created an atmosphere that also built a lot of depth of knowledge and camaraderie and a family. I didn't start out in the New National Party because I just woke up one day and said I wanted to join the NMP. My grandmother was the one telling me about NMP since I could have listened to and give a comprehensive chat back to her. And a lot of Grenadians in my demographic and younger have grew up with parents who have supported the New National Party. They may disagree in where the party has, gone in certain directions, but what they do know is that their family has been uplifted and the country has been uplifted during that time of governance. And what we need now is youthful, young, strong, and diligent people who are willing to jump in the mud and pull the conversation out from there and bring it and put it on a pedestal and bring our country into a new direction. I want to not, I believe that we're not here for a long time, but what we do with that time is the most important. And I would like to spend my time. And what I'm known for is that I'm not afraid to go after a battle that is hard. I'm not afraid to go after opponents that everybody seems to think that he's the strongest. I'm not afraid to tackle the problems that people don't want to address. I'm not afraid of going against the grain. I'm young and I have some youthful naivety, but I'm also diligent in knowing that we can do better and we need better. And we need to stop accepting the mediocre and what they have available and start pushing and accepting the best from our best. And we need the country to start looking at our politicians and expecting more from them. And I want to take on that mantle where I'm not trying to bring the conversation in a TV type of politics. I want to bring our politics in where it should be, in debate, in ideas, in uplifting all our people, in uplifting every Grenadian, and into uplifting the conversation and the realities for everyone. Because there's so much we can do. You and I have barely thought on many policies and initiatives I plan to roll out as what I want to do as a candidate. I've barely scratched the surface. I'm just getting warmed up. And to the people of the South, I want them to know I'm not scared of any of the hard work and areas you think the perceived candidate is strongest at. I'll be in Montu, I'll be in Coffee Bowl Hill, Grand Kai, Calais, Valley, Lansepine, True Blue, Fort Drury, Springs, Egmont, uh, Jarangale, Belmont. I would go in every part of the constituency. I would shake your hand. I would engage in conversation. I would get to know you, and I would hopefully that you get to know me. But what I would say is that I'm not planning to stick with the things of the past. I'm here to forge a future for us that is making sure that we're all economically benefited from and that we all can find a source of pride in our country and our community again. So that is what I'm trying to bring to the table. I know there's a tall hill to climb, and you know something? I'm a hasher. So I'm not afraid of bush and I'm not afraid of climbing hill. So let the work begin and let us go because I'm ready and I'm ready for the South.
Indeed, and I think that's a wonderful way to end tonight's program. That you are ready for the work. Any final words to the people of South St. George, and not just the people of South St. Georgia, but you may not recognize, but you have a lot of fans outside of South St. George. So in each of the other constituencies, you have people who are always speaking about Mr. Diali, Mr. Diali, Mr. Diali. throughout all of the other constituencies, including the 16th constituency, which is the diaspora. You have many, many fans there. Any final words for them for tonight? And remember, the door is open. We just barely scratched the surface tonight. We just started the conversation. We have a lot more to have. Final words to the listeners.
I am telling our base and our supporters from far and wide, and even the people who are just listening who are on the fence, that it is time to get excited because what we're coming with is going to really embody what we say is our party name, the new National Party. Because what we come in with is a completely new playbook. We burned the old playbook already, and we come in for the people, and we come in to impress them with ideas and policies that make sure they know that we have been listening and we have been making plans, and we are ready to take on this administration, and we are ready for the fight that's ahead. So yes, we know that we know what they're saying, but we're ready and we ain't afraid. So let's go.
All right. Wonderful, sir. Mr. Christopher D. Ali Jr., we'd like to thank you so very much for being on with us tonight. It has been a wonderful experience having you on Talking Points tonight and being able to interact with you. And I know that those who have been listening are very impressed with the discussion that we've had here tonight. And we look forward to having further discussions with you very soon. Feel free to call not just upon me at Talking Points, but the Talking Points family. It's a family here. So feel free to call upon the Talking Points family at any point in time to assist in whichever way possible to ensure what we know will happen when the election is called, to ensure that we make no mistake that it does happen for you, for the new National Party, for the people of South St. George, and for Grenada. We thank you so very much for being on with us tonight, sir.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Folks, we were speaking there with Mr. Christopher D. Ali Jr. And yes, all right, sir. We were speaking with him there tonight. Various issues, and we know that you all are very impressed with the discussion there tonight. I'm getting the messages one after the other in relation to tonight's program. And that young gentleman and all that he has spoken about. And remember, he still hasn't really gotten deeply into a lot of the areas that he intends to cover for South St. George, and there's quite a bit. So we will be having him back very soon onto Talking Points with us. So we'd like to thank Mr. Diali for being there with us tonight, and we'd like to thank each and every one of you, even though we started a bit late tonight. Yes, you know, sometimes getting back and forth is a little problem sometimes. So we'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. Noise Radio for being there with us, and all of you that have joined us via the various mediums. Folks, we'll be back tomorrow night, God's willing, with more Talking Points for you. My name is Sheldon Scott. I am out. Love each and every one of you, and whatever you say, whatever you do it safe and secure. Want to be speaking to and with you, and definitely not about you. I am out.